Imagine this, your business's private data, client negotiations, source code has been leaked to AI by using an LLM. You think this sounds far-fetched? A lot of companies have had this problem. It's a real risk, but here's some tips for you to mitigate that risk. This is called AI leakage. This leakage is data that we use when we're chatting with GPT or something like that, one of those AI LLM platforms. If you put private data in there and you don't have your settings set right, it'll take that data and use it to help other people down the road. It's great when it's public, but when it's private and you need to keep it private, that's when we need to set up some guidelines and some boundaries for the LLM. Recently, Samsung had their source code exposed because their developers were looking for some help with one of their problems on the source code. You'd think that really wouldn't happen, but what the AI does with source code is it takes the source code and it compares it to all the other source code, and then it automatically takes what you send it and adds it to the LLM. So who's at risk for this? Well, basically anyone using AI. I know that sounds scary and it might make you turn away from AI, but don't be afraid of it. We can handle that 100%. There is a way to eliminate all risk. It's not convenient, but it is secure. So there are three main risks. The first is input risk. Whatever you type in, whatever you upload, that's a potential leakage for your organization. The second place is data retention. How does it store that data and how long does it store that data? And the third thing is the output risk. Will it output it to other users that shouldn't have access to that information? Once again, if it's public, it's not a big deal. You're doing some research on lead gen or you're researching a potential client. You take their earnings report, which is public, put it in the LLM. If it regurgitates that to someone else, well, that's not a big deal because it's already public. However, if you are looking through, say, a contract and you want it to look through the contract for you and help you understand the contract better, that's not something you want anyone else to have access to. So here are some practical steps. The first one, never use private data. That's easy. But if you need to use private data, how do you still use AI and get the benefits of AI while maintaining privacy? We'll talk about that in just a second. Second is to adjust the privacy settings in each of your platforms. So let's do a quick demo on that. I'll show you where those are and we can take a look. Okay, here we are in ChatGPT. To go to the settings, you click on your username and you go to settings, and then you go to data controls. And here's the setting you want to change: improve the model for everyone. Turn it off here with this radio button and you're all set. I'd already turned mine off, so that's pretty simple. Next one is perplexity. Again, you go to account on this one and then preferences. And this is the last one here in the preferences section. AI data retention allows Perplexity to use your searches to improve AI models. Turn that one off if you don't want it to be gobbled up. Thirdly, Google Gemini. This one was hard to find. I had to use AI to find the setting and it gave me the link. So myactivity.google.com/product/Gemini. I don't know if we need this query string parameter. And then what we want to do is we want to turn off. I'd already turned it off. So this is saying if I click this, it'll turn it on, but it will not save it beyond 72 hours. So it's just for local storage for myself. Okay, so those are some quick settings in 3 of the major AI tools. Another thing you can do is delete or clear chat history. That's a good way to keep things on the up and up. You can anonymize sensitive data. And remember, the things that should never be included are identifying information, things like social security number, names and addresses, things like that. And then another thing is to restrict team access, which if you're trying to use your job, that's kind of difficult to do if you're using AI as a tool to get your job done, and train team members on safe AI use. Along those lines, if you want to still use AI, it might be best to have some sort of customization that puts all the settings in place. So have like an AI wrapper that can help you get the data you want, get the productivity you want, and still maintain the privacy that you need. Okay, the last option, and this is 100% secure, is to roll your own local instance, an LLM. Let's do a quick demo. I'll show you what I'm working on. It's very easy to get it up and running. It took me like 5 minutes, 10 minutes of work, and maybe about the same amount of time for things to download and install. So it's super simple now, but if it does seem like gobbledygook, there's a link in the description. Book some time with me. I'll help you get it up and running. Okay, here we are with command line on the left and a web browser. I'm running on Windows. All these tools can run on Windows, Mac, Linux. It's pretty simple to get it running on any environment. 2 main things we need to get going are Olama, which I have here on their their webpage. You can download it. And then Open Web UI, which is over here. Here's the documentation on how to get it started. I'll include some links in the description. So Llama is your large language model, your LLM. When you're chatting on ChatGPT or Perplexity, you're using an LLM. So this is a local LLM. It doesn't hit the internet. It can't Google things for you, right? You can't go and get results from a web page or download images or anything like that. It's running locally, and you'll have a security that way. Here I have Llama running on port 11434. So to get that downloaded and installed, you click the download button. Also, you can use a ChatGPT to help you with your environment. You say, I'm running on Linux, or I'm running on Windows or Mac. How do I get this up and running? And if it doesn't work, just keep asking it questions. I know it sounds simple. AI is great. A lot of times it saves you a lot of time. And then sometimes something that should take 5 minutes takes 3 hours. So just be patient. Keep going and you'll get there. Open Web UI is a way for us to run queries against Llama or another. It says OpenAI compatible APIs. So that's great. That's a way for us to query the LLM that's running locally. And here it is up and running. Now this command line over here, the command prompt is what's running in the background for me. So I can ask it whatever, like who uses Mike? Tell me about the rule changes for the 2026 season for F1. Let's see what it says. Oh, we got an error. And it's downloading some stuff. I guess I should have tested this before I did the demo. Okay, so it's interesting that all of this was just a transcribed voice to text. Okay, so it's unable to access real-time information or external sources. Great, so what I could do is I could add a document that says, here are the F1 rule changes, and then I could ask questions about that. So this just shows it is private, it is self-contained. You're not going to run into any issues using private data in your private instance running locally on either your own network or your own machine. All right, so that is how you run things locally. You can get your LLM up and running in just a few minutes, and you can put whatever you want in it and ask it any questions you want as well. What do you want to look for in AI tools? You want clear, accessible privacy settings. It's not always clear. So you're going to have to do some research and figure out what will work for you, what risk you're willing to take. That may sound like, am I willing to put people's social security number in ChatGPT? No, that's not what I'm saying. But everything comes with a certain level of risk. You're running locally is zero risk. Turning on the privacy settings, it does have some risk if they don't do what they say they're supposed to do. So there's always trade-offs. You need clear and transparent data retention policies. And then one thing I didn't mention is HIPAA, GDPR, things like that, all those types of compliances. If you need to support that and you need to be compliant, PCI compliant is a good one with financial data, then you need to check with whoever is in charge of that in your organization and see how you can maintain that compliance and still use AI to get your job done. And then the last one is just being able to use a local LLM so that you can maintain that privacy because everything's running locally or running on your local network. Or another thing you want to do is build a privacy first culture. What we want to do is we want to make sure that we take care of the things that we are stewards over. If we have private customer data, we want to make sure that we don't expose that. They are trusting us with that data. We need to make sure that everything we do is on the up and up and that they can trust us with their data and we're not going to expose it due to ignorance. It's kind of like when you're driving down the road and you get pulled over for speeding. It's not the police officer's fault that you didn't know the speed limit. You should know the speed limit because there are signs. Just like with privacy, you should know that when you're using private data, you need to make sure that that's 100% secure. You also need to develop some guidelines on how to use AI in your organization. That could be a simple document, some simple training that everyone has to on board with, some tools that can help maintain that security for you as well. To recap, it's really important that we control what we share with ChatGPT or any LLM. To be 100% secure, you need to be 100% local. You cannot use ChatGPT in the cloud or anything in the cloud and assume 100% privacy. You can turn off those settings and hope that you got it right, but those settings change and companies' privacy policies change. So you just want to be really careful. When you're using public data, go for it. There's no problem. Or you want to use a model that can access the internet, that's public data. As soon as you start putting private data in your chats or associated with a chat, that's when you can run into some issues. So be careful when using private data. To be 100% secure, once again, you got to run locally. If it seems daunting or too much, I get it. It is a lot. And when it comes to privacy and the liability that you can open yourself up to, that is also a lot as well. But not to worry, there are experts like me. Get someone who can help you. Once again, you can get some time with me, book a call in the link below in the description. I'd love to help. And thanks for watching. As always, like the video, share, and subscribe, and you'll get the notification for the next video.